In reality, that's all that it really is. It's how you show up to your potential employers that make or break if you are going to get hired or not. Hey there, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, my goal is that at the end of this video is to walk you through what are the different ways or reasons why you didn't get the job as a virtual assistant. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own outsourcing company here in the Philippines. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, about a year ago, a TikTok video of mine went viral in the worst way because I was talking about all the different reasons why I would reject applicants for my company. Now, it went viral because a lot of people were like shocked of the different ways that why they would never get the job, and I wanted to now do a whole YouTube video about it because so many times we would get a rejection and we would just see it of like, oh, you know, they had too high expectations, they had this and that. But in reality, a lot of the reasons why I would reject an applicant is for the reasons I'll be telling you guys in a little bit, and it usually is something that you can tweak, that you can adjust, or you can add into how you show up. Because in reality, that's all that it really is. It's how you show up to your potential employers that make or break if you are going to get hired or not. Now, one of the first reasons why I've rejected applicants before, and it's not the primary reason, but it's one of the reasons also, is that not following instructions. Now, one of the things that is honestly a little bit frustrating as an employer is when we get mass applicants. These are people who just grab a lot of HR people's emails and then just send their application without knowing what we're hiring for, who we're looking for. And following instructions when you see a job ad is actually a way for us as an employer to filter if you're actually reading through instructions or not. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be a yes person or a rule follower all the time when you're in a company, but it also shows us that you paid attention to detail to follow what the instructions are. A lot of the times, and this is something I tell a lot of our clients and people who want to hire online, is that how people show up or how applicants show up in a job application process is how they'll be showing up when they're actually hired. Now, one of the biggest things that I always tell clients and people who want to hire VAs for the first time is how they show up during the job application process is how they'll show up when they're actually hired to work. So as much as possible, whenever you're reading through a job ad, whenever you receive instructions from your employer on how to proceed further, you need to follow those instructions, because then that's how you build trust. That's how you build like, hey, I can get the job done. Now, this could range from, you know, having a custom subject line. This could range from submitting a test in a certain period of time, but it's making sure that whatever they tell you to do, that you follow, because you're showing them that you are paying attention to the details and that you're not just mass sending your application. Another reason why you probably got rejected for your last job is that your accomplishments or the skills that you have just wasn't showcased enough. Like I said, as an employer, I receive about 100 applications a day. And what that means is that in 2XU, we have to go through them to see if they're a match for a position that we have or not. So if your skills, if your accomplishments, if your resume wasn't good enough, then you will sadly be piled in the no file. So that's why I really recommend that you upgrade your resume and put in your accomplishments and your skills right front and center as much as possible. And if you guys want a video on how to create a resume that catches an eye of an employer, you guys can check out that video right here. But basically, you want to make sure that you are showing up even before they start talking to you, even before they look at your application letter. You're showing up in your resume in the best way that they'll be like, this person, I want to talk to this, I want to have this person move forward. So you want to have that effect with your future employer. Next reason you probably got rejected is you just lack job qualifications. And this is just a harsh truth of it, is that as an employer, we're looking for a specific skill. We're looking for someone who has thought about this in this way, who has experimented before and done this. And that comes with experience. That comes with having qualifications. So if you probably are a newbie or they have no experience and they really need someone with no experience, then that's not directly just because of you. It was just a requirement of theirs. It was something that they were looking for and you just didn't match that. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's not necessarily all your fault. It is something that as an employer, there are a few certain qualifications that we really need to make sure that this person can get the job done. Now, as a reminder for you guys, a lot of employers, when they start hiring, they're hiring because they're trying to solve a problem. So if you are not qualified enough to solve that problem, then that actually hurts them more than actually will hurt you, because then they're paying for someone to stay in their company who wasn't even a fit for the position. Now, on the flip side, there's also being overqualified. Now, when you have too much experience on a certain field, sometimes they will look at that as a con, mostly because you might have that's your only expertise. You might not be able to grow into another one. This part can be solved by showing them of how flexible you are or willing to adapt you are, despite with your experience, not despite your experience. It's because that's the kind of person that you are. Then that's something that can be easily remedied. But again, it's all down to who it is that they actually need to hire in their business to solve this particular problem. The next reason why you probably didn't pass your last job application is basically you just did not meet deadlines. There might have been a deadline for you to submit a certain requirement, a certain test, maybe your portfolio in a matter of time, and you weren't able to meet that. So that's why always, as much as possible, I always tell people to do things right away when they receive a test or something to submit to the potential employer, because then you get to be the person who responded to them the fastest. You get to be the person who shows up first versus all the other applicants who might be submitting these things late or just right on time. So it's better to submit. If they say, hey, you have 48 hours to submit this, try to get it done in 24 hours, because again, you're showing up first. A lot of the harsh reality of getting hired is it is kind of a little bit, depending on the employer, a race. It is a race to be the right person right away, because there's going to be a lot of people who are also qualified who has the right skills that they're looking for, but they might be submitting things late. Now, speaking of late, another reason why we've rejected applicants before is they were late for the interview. Now, the interview is kind of a really big deal, even if you don't think about it that way, but it is, because for us as an employer, it's a way for us to see if communication-wise, you are the type of person that we're looking for. So that's why it's super important that you are at the interview 5 to 10 minutes early. You already showed up, you're in a good coat, you look good, you have a good background if it's on a Zoom call, and you are making sure that, again, you show up in the best way that you can. Now, speaking of interviews, another reason why employers reject certain applicants is just not doing research. Now, this is something I have repeated so many times on this channel, is that before you jump into an interview, research the person that you're going to be interviewed, if you can ask who they are, and also, of course, the company and their goals, and maybe even reread the whole job ad so you have a better sense of what it is that you're trying to apply for. Now, the reason why you will get rejected if you're late for an interview is, again, that's how you show up if people do end up hiring you. So keep that in mind of, if you're late, then that's kind of showing that you're not really interested in the job, especially if you miss the thing altogether. You will get a rejection letter after that. So as much as possible, be there 5 to 10 minutes before your interview so then you can show up in the best way. The next reason why you probably got rejected from your last job is that your cover letter was too generic. Now, talking about research earlier, when you're sending your cover letter or your application letter, make sure as much as possible that it is custom. It's kind of like, think of it as you're responding to that job ad, to the job description in that way. So if they said, looking for a smart, curious, creative person, you will say in your job ad, I am that smart, curious, creative person that you're looking for. That way you are having a conversation with them back and forth through email already from just your application letter. You are affirming that you are this kind of person, that you are the person that they're looking for, and thus making you stand out in their head of like, I want to learn more if they are actually this kind of person that they say that they are. Now, in connection to that, another reason why you probably got rejected is your cover letter was too short. Again, as much as possible, try to think of writing your application or cover letter as a response to the job ad of why you should be the person that they're looking at versus the 100 of other emails that they probably got that same day. So I try to, as much as possible, go through the job ad and respond in that way of how they wrote it. And then, of course, talking about, hey, I would love to be able to move forward with this in the future. And speaking of moving forward, another reason why you probably got rejected is you didn't follow up. There is such a huge power in following up with your application when you haven't heard from them in about 2 days. I always encourage my own students to, hey, send a follow-up with your potential client, because your application might have literally just fallen through. It could have been that they marked it as read even though they haven't read it yet. It could have been that they actually just got busy and they never got back to you. So when you follow up, there's that power of you showing them that you're really interested in this kind of work, that you're really interested in getting the job. So try to follow up as much as you can. Again, 2 to 3 days after you haven't heard from them. Next reason you probably got rejected is that you might have been doing job hopping a lot. So what job hopping is when you go from one company to another, not having really a one place where you've lasted for so long. Because for us as an employer, that's a little bit of a red flag, mostly because that means that you might also leave us. And as an employer, we put in so much into training, into growing you, into having you inside of the company. For you to just leave is a red flag. Now, another reason why you probably got rejected is that you just were expensive for them. That's not a con on your pricing. That's not a con on you. It's just they're not able to afford you. And that is actually just a legit reason why they would not hire you. That's not anything against you. That's not against anything about your pricing. Again, it's just that they can't afford you at this moment. And again, that's okay. Now, one of the biggest reasons why you probably got rejected from your last job application is that you just weren't a match. And that's the reality of this. That's the reality of everything also in life, is that you just weren't a match of the kind of person that they're looking for, or they already found someone that matches closely who it is that they need. Now, one of the biggest things that you really have to keep in mind as you're job hunting, as you're looking for your dream job or your work, is that a lot of the time it's actually never anything personal. It actually is something that, oh, you just didn't meet the qualifications of the person that we needed, and that's it. And then you move on, you find other jobs who you are a better match for. So that is just, again, the reality of all of this world of getting jobs, of being an adult, is that you will get rejected mostly because it just wasn't a match. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button right there and comment below what are the reasons you've been rejected from a job before. And if you guys still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. And you guys can check out the latest video right here. Now, I hope you guys have an awesome day. And remember that small steps matters. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!